Welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. Would like to welcome my guest of the evening. Her name is Heather Gray. She is the Lyme Boss. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Hopefully my cat doesn't make too much noise. She never joins me when I'm doing these things.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I've been looking at your website, your bio. You had this an amazing story. An amazing story from getting diagnosed from your son at 12 years old as well, getting diagnosed. Where do we begin?
Oh, that's always a good question. I mean, beginning at the beginning is always good. I can actually wrap it up really well. So it's not like, when someone starts off, well, when I was a baby and people go, oh God, here we go. For the next, how long are we here for? Like 2 hours? No. I was 4 years old when I was sitting on the potty so long from being constipated that my feet
Oh no.
wouldn't sleep, right?
Yeah.
And that was like my first experience with kind of doctors and people throwing band-aids at symptoms because nobody was trying to figure out why this 4-year-old was constipated. Instead, they were just giving me gross, nasty oils and stool softeners, but nobody was trying to figure out why this 4-year-old, couldn't poop. I was literally full of shit. My uncle had killed himself when I was 4.
Wow.
And there was a lot of early childhood trauma, right? So nobody was talking about that. And that's kind of what started off my path of like I said, these kind of throwing band-aids at symptoms type of things. And then, I was undiagnosed celiac disease, which caused a lot of gut problems, which also led to my constipation and even more childhood trauma. And then when I got bit by a tick when I was 13, I was just kind of the perfect host. I was, many years of gut inflammation and eating a SAD diet, right? The standard American diet, a lot of stress in the house, raised by addicts, so by the time I got bit by a tick, I was kind of like this perfect storm of circumstances that just added up for me to, like I said, be the perfect host when I did contract Lyme disease at the age of 13.
Wow. That's that is an eventful childhood so thus far, right?
Oh
The
yeah,
traumas
well,
added.
wait, there's more. We haven't even gotten warmed up yet.
So you got diagnosed right at 12, right?
No,
No.
I know. I went 28 years with Lyme disease before I ever got diagnosed. I didn't get diagnosed until I was 34 years old.
Wow.
I started showing symptoms when I was 15. So I got bit when I was 13. I started showing symptoms at 15 when I ended up in the psych ward for the first time with my first suicide attempt. First of many, unfortunately. Yeah, because so back then doctors were still, let's see, put her on antipsychotics, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, right? She's just
numb her.
Exactly. Not again trying to figure out why this 15-year-old's trying to off herself.
So like, okay, so let's take it back, right? So you're 15, 14. You try to commit suicide and nobody knew why and nobody asked why. And their main goal was to just not try to understand you, but just sedate you.
Absolutely.
That's a red flag right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why mental health is such a sham, a joke in this country. And we've even got, big stars. Who was it that just killed himself this week?
Twitch boss. Twitch, I can't remember his first. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Unexpected.
Yeah, right? I mean, anytime you see a video of him, he looks very happy, dancy, like looks like the life of the party. But, I even ran into an issue a couple years ago where I had mentioned something on Facebook that I was struggling. And it was supposed to be a post of inspiration of this is what I did to pull myself out of it. But the company I worked for at the time, which was a health company, saw it and thought it was a red flag and a cry for help. And they fired me.
And they were supposed to help you.
Right? You would think, but it looks bad at a health company that I'm talking this way on social media. And they had several people in that company who were overweight. right? But that's okay. But heaven forbid I talk about a mental health issue that I was having, because then that looks bad on the company. So that's why a lot of folks suffer in silence,
Hmm.
right? They just unexpectedly, off themselves, is because one, they're too afraid of the stigma that comes up that you get slapped with once you start talking like this, right? Like that's wasn't I didn't get another job a year ago almost because of the same thing. And I'm just like, come on, people, you gotta wake up. And I think it just kind of sparked my fuel to talk about this stuff even more, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to shut me up? Here,
Yeah,
hold
the
my hose.
awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Yeah. So yeah, after first of many suicide attempts, like I said, I ended up going 27 years undiagnosed with three autoimmune diseases, Lyme disease, mold toxicity, heavy metal issues, mental health stuff. Yeah, you name it. For many, many decades, I was really
And,
not
and
well.
and you know what's incredible, that I'm not surprised because I have an autistic son,
Oh yeah,
and the challenges that I and my wife had to endure and just try to seek help. It's like they'll say we have help, but when the time comes, nobody's available. Nobody's there.
yeah,
Nothing's approved.
right.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
The whole system is a sham. It's such a sham, and that's part of the reason why I became a practitioner. I ended up becoming the person that I needed when I was going
Mm.
through my health journey. But the sad part is most functional practitioners are all out of pocket, right? And it's usually not cheap. And
Yeah.
so, at the time, God, I went bankrupt the first time I was getting healthy and going through my treatments and stuff like that. It actually did bankrupt us. I mean, not that, and I went through a divorce like 6 months later. So I think the combination of the both, but it shouldn't depend on how much money you have in your pocket on whether you get to live or die and whether you get to do treatments or not. Like our system is just completely ass backwards.
No, I agree. It's unfortunate that only through money we can seek help. Rather, it should be there no matter what.
Absolutely. The funny thing is, though, is sometimes folks will only value if they've got a little skin in the game. Like I've gone both directions where I've given like my educational online platform to people for free who said that they were in dire straits, life or death, can't afford nothing, and I gave it to them for free. And guess who didn't do the program? Guess who didn't follow through? So it's this bizarre little game with when it comes to like the energetics of money and getting help. And I do believe there needs to be different resources out there for folks. Needs to be more readily available. There shouldn't be so many hoops that you have to jump through and all the red tape. But it's a funny little line to walk for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's 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 a dreadful journey because it's only until when things hit the fan that you actually see somebody trying to assist you. It's only until you snap, and come out of character and almost degrade yourself as an individual that, oh yeah, it's time to help you now. And that's such an unfortunate event, and that's very common, very common. It's
Yeah.
frustrating to uh, live in society that endorse this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you know, was your son born autistic or was there an event?
Well, no, he was born. Everything appeared to be normal. When he turned 2, he gave signs,
Mm,
but he's a boy. It's a boy. And sometimes you gotta let kids be kids.
right.
But then we started seeing how he digressed and wasn't improved in certain areas, and then we did our due diligence, and it was a nightmare because the more we try to get help and seek and it's your son, it's your child. It's given the best help we can. It's like it was always pending, and we always had to wait. and from 2 years old he became 3. And then there's this, I can't remember the exact name of it. There's a program that can would help him that before he turned 3. So we're here waiting almost a whole year. He turns 3. We can no longer offer you the program.
Oh my gosh.
Then these appointments and where to diagnose him, 6 months.
Mm,
6 months will appear. Something happened and where nobody showed up. Oh, we have to reschedule it.
right.
Another 6 months. That's a year now.
Good God.
Pandemic hit.
Uh,
Nobody was working. After pandemic, still the same. It was a good 2 to 3 years, and we're struggling with doctors and rescheduling appointments because they weren't doing their part. We came out of pocket and find somebody who evaluated him. And it was like a whole week process. So nobody could say that we paid, and no, they studied him. They gave him the proper assistance he needed
right.
until he was diagnosed. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. I have a stepson who's autistic. He was vaccine injured when he was 3. And now as an adult, if he were to get diagnosed, he'd get diagnosed with the Asperger's.
Yeah.
And then I had an ex-boyfriend whose their stepson was vaccine injured. So, and autistic. And so I was just curious. And then like I
So
watched,
wait, hold on. What do you mean with vaccine injured?
like they were fine. They went in, got a vaccine, and they came back not fine.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and what's incredible that I've read numerous books because it's you have to self-educate as well, because there comes a point in time that nobody gives you fucking answers,
Nope.
and they're just passive aggressive, shoving you away.
Yeah. You have to
And
become your own health advocate in
yeah,
this. Like you got to fight.
yeah, and I've read, like, it wasn't until like my third book reading that I started noticing this pattern, and where it was like it was driving to vaccine, but then somewhere, some form, it will stop, and they will say, well, they always say there's not was it enough proof that's vaccine, and I'm like, is there really?
Yeah, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I've seen it. The first person who actually planted that seed with me was my mother, who was a nurse, who I don't speak to anymore because she's just toxic. But it was shortly
I
after
feel you,
having
sister.
yeah, it was shortly after having my kid, though. She was the one who planted the seed, and she had told me she'd seen with her own eyes kids come into the doctor's appointments, normal, healthy, happy kids, and then a week later, after a vaccine, like that kid never to be seen again. Like they're gone, they're lost in their body and in their brain, and yeah, no, I've seen it. I have physically experienced it. I've seen it. Like I said, my mom, who was a nurse, was the first one to kind of plant that seed. Not all autism is tied to that. There's new research out there. There's actually a lot of links towards Lyme disease, believe it or not, and autism. Heavy metal toxicity, especially in the mother, and then folate, believe it or not, if the mom uses the wrong form of folic acid when she's pregnant, can lead to these issues as well. So there's a whole mess that is kind of causing, again, these
Yeah.
perfect storms, right? Why autism is on the rise, why Lyme and mold and autoimmune diseases are on the rise. It's very much a lifestyle epidemic that's going on right now. We're living lives that humans weren't meant to live. We weren't meant to be up till 2 o'clock in the morning with all the artificial lights, and we weren't meant to drink the water with all the chemicals and breathe the air with all the chemicals and the food and the go 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 lifestyle. I mean, yeah, don't get me started, but I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
the unhealthy environment. The like I tell, like, I've always had this conversation with people because I grew up in Puerto Rico, and everything over there's like Monday through Friday, and where like Friday hits 5 o'clock, you have a life. As soon as I moved here, everything is 24/7. Everything is there's not a room to even breathe, and everybody's obese,
nope.
and nobody
Yeah,
sees something wrong with it.
no, that's the sad part. I say it all the time, no matter how common a symptom may be, it is never normal, right? It is always always your body's check engine light coming on saying, hey, dummy, there's something going on in here. And I'm going to start off with a headache. I'm going to start off with weight gain. I'm going to start off with you fill in the blank. But if you don't pay attention, it's going to get worse and it's going to get bigger and it's going to get scarier. And then next thing you know, you're, collecting autoimmune diseases like I was. And people just take that as the norm. And they take it as that they can't reverse it. So many doctors tell them, oh, well, this is your diagnosis and there's no cure and you're just going to have to live with it on this prescription for the rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah,
Bullshit.
yeah,
That's absolute bullshit.
yeah. So let me ask you, like, from 15 to you were 33, right? Said that you were finally diagnosed. How did you live? Because just reading, watching your message, which is so inspirational. Everybody should go on a website and watch it. And reading your bow, it's like it was torture. It
Yeah.
was torture.
There were times of lightness. It was funny. I was kind of a miserable bitch. Not even kind of. I really just was. I wasn't very nice to my ex-husband, and I was kind of a bad mom in the beginning of my kids' childhood because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I had been gaslighted for so long from
Yeah.
people. You look fine. Oh, you just attention seeking. Oh, it's all in your head. It's all in your head. Your labs look normal. It's all in your head. So you kind of start to believe that message, right? And then I would go through periods where I'd stop looking for answers because I couldn't find any. And it just got me more frustrated and more, hopeless. And then something would happen. My health would crash. I would spin out of control. I would talk about suicide. I'd be in this deep, dark hole and a lot of pain, not functioning really well. And then I'd kind of dust myself off again and I would try to look for answers. And every time I looked for answers, I found like more of a natural way of throwing band-aids at
Mm-hmm.
symptoms, but I never really found the root cause of what was going on until I finally got diagnosed with Lyme disease when I was, like I said, 34. And I thought the doctors were going to kill me because most people, excuse me, I'm just getting over this silly cold. Yeah, you had the flu last week. I had the flu. I
Yeah.
still got a little bit in my throat. But sadly, so many folks with Lyme disease they get that diagnosis and what do they immediately go to? Well, what's the treatment, right? What did you do for treatment? And doctors, even the Lyme literate doctors are the same. And so they'll throw these antibiotics at you, IV antibiotics,
Mm-hmm.
anti-malaria drugs, like this really hardcore crap. But your body's been sick for decades. So they're going to war with a sick body. And really, it needs to be, the host should be built up first before going to war. And so as I'm going through treatment, I thought I was going to die. Like for the first time in my life, I thought that was it. I was going to die. And it wasn't until I heard the founder of FDN, I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and I heard him speak, and he's like, you have to heal the gut. You have to balance the hormones. You've got to make sure the detox pathways are opened. So many people don't realize what a serious issue constipation is, right? I actually did a whole talk called talking shit, the shocking truth about chronic constipation. Because if you are not pooping daily, the toxins aren't leaving your body and they're getting recirculated in your body. We weren't meant to have toxins recirculate in our body. So all these things have to be in place before you kind of start tackling the big bad wolf, that was the Lyme disease. And really, I didn't have to tackle it as much. Once I got my lifestyle under control, once I detoxed my body, once I built it up, my immune system takes over and goes, oh, I know what to do now, right? I know how to keep these critters in control because God gave us these beautiful bodies with these immune systems that actually know what they're doing. It's gotten out of whack because we've gotten out of whack. We've gotten out of sync with how humans are supposed to live. Right. Like I've always loved that about like Puerto Rico and some other countries that I heard they actually take siestas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a nap. That downtime is sacred as well as it should be. There's a reason for it. And it was funny. I almost wanted to cancel tonight because like I've been working Sundays for so long and I'm like, that's it. I don't want to do anything more on a Sunday. And I was like, no, I'll start setting better boundaries going forward. But I am going to start taking Saturday and Sunday off. Like I can't keep this grind because I'm going to end up sick again.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah, it's a lot, and it will catch up with you.
Absolutely.
It will catch up with you no matter what.
Nobody's immune to that. Nobody. And that's what kills me is people are like, I've been dealing this way for blah, blah, blah. It was so sad. I had a woman come to me with just like a few weird symptoms like a year and a half ago. And I was trying to explain to her that this was the beginning, right? This was her body trying to warn her. And she just dismissed it, dismissed it, dismissed it. She ended up not working with me. And then the last time I talked to her, she came down with like the most painful case of shingles on top of like two
Wow.
other horrible things that happened to her. And it hurt my heart because it's like, damn it, I was so close to helping you, right? We could have probably avoided all this, but they just couldn't see that A plus B was going to equal C if they kept going down that road. Because like I said, we've all taken that piece of tape and put it over the check engine light for so long, with all these over the counter meds, and we've just dismissed it that, gas is normal and heartburn is normal and being obese is normal. And heaven forbid you actually talk about obesity right now, because then you get told that you're being fat shaming, right?
Oh
Which
my
is
God.
absolute bullshit. Oh my God, it makes my head explode. Are you fat shaming me? No, it's a proven scientific fact that every pound you are overweight, it leaves you more susceptible to all these different diseases, including COVID, right? And then what happened during that whole pandemic? They were giving out Krispy Kreme donuts for free with every vaccine that you did. Oh my God, I thought my head was going to explode. I'm like, this is not the way. This is not the way to health, people. Like, come on, where's the common sense?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that's the culture nowadays. They make it seem okay,
Mm-hmm.
and and we live in a culture that's so sensitive as well.
Oh God.
Very sensitive, very sensitive. You can
Heaven
say
forbid you take responsibility for any part of.
yes, yes, yes. No, it's very sensitive, and a lot of passing blame.
Yep.
It's your fault I'm like this, and yeah, some point you gotta, you gotta grow up.
Absolutely. One of the best books I read this last year was called The Empowerment Dynamic, or TED. And it talked about it's a triangle, and you have victim, you've got rescuer, and you've got prosecutor, and how so many people are just bouncing from these three places. And they say, what's the opposite of victim? Opposite of victim would be creator, right? The person who creates their life instead of. And so that was like the biggest lesson I've had to learn even in the last couple of years, because with my uncle dying at the age of 4, with being raised by addicts who are
Trauma.
toxic, I don't, like I said, I don't speak to my mother or my father. I haven't in years because they are bullies. You know, I I was sick for decades. All those things would justify me to live that life of victim, no problem. Because if you look at it, I do look like a victim. But when I stayed in victim mentality, I didn't get better. I didn't get better until I was like, okay, that's my past. This is now. This is what I have to work with. How do I overcome this? Right? How do I stop telling that same goddamn story that keeps me small and keeps me sick? Because I want something different. I want something better. And that's the sad part. People aren't used to being called out anymore. And when you do, they just like
No,
lose their.
it's you gotta be and it happens to me all the time. You gotta be very understanding. You gotta deal with a lot of people's emotions. And sometimes, you just gotta do. You just gotta do, we should never ignore what we feel, because what we feel at the end, either that makes us or break us. But we should find a balance in where, like, all right, I gotta put my big boy pants on.
Absolutely.
I gotta get my shit together.
Absolutely.
You got to call yourself out. And it's scary. There's so much of it. Like me as a man, some days I'm mortified because I try to explain it to my friend that I grew up in a different environment, way difficult, a lot of traumas. But the immigrant mentalities, it's coming here or come to a different country and work and build what you got to build. No excuses. Rain, snow, you work, you build, and you continue to build. It's what you're trying to create for tomorrow, and in to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And once I moved here, the biggest challenge for America, it's its mental health, and it's scary.
It is so scary. It is so scary. I feel so bad for like teachers and like high school therapists right now. Like they are fighting an uphill battle because nobody is still talking about that the crap that those kids are putting in their body has something to do with their mental health. And that's like the biggest reason I get on
Yeah.
a lot of these things is like it starts with what goes in your mouth, right? Like if you're gonna you could have the best treatment in the world, you could have the best therapist in the world, you could have the best drugs in the world, but if you're gonna go out and eat McDonald's and inflame your gut, which inflames your brain, all that stuff's only gonna work like 5%. Like people are have never had such an abundance of food, but yet like starving to death nutritionally. We're not getting the vitamins and minerals that we need. Therefore, our bodies, like, we would never put water in our gas tanks and expect our car to run normally. But that's kind of what we've been doing to our bodies is
Hmm.
this fast food junk with all the preservatives and the crap. And we wonder why people are breaking down. And yes, folks, it is that simple. Like it starts off so many people within the first 3 months of working with them just focusing on lifestyle, mindset, and diet. All the testimonials on my website, like one of them, the girl was like, it felt like a miracle. Like her life completely turned around within the first month of working together because we're just getting back down to basics. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, not some weird miracle worker. We're just going back to the basics. But
Yeah, it's
there's,
not rocket science.
yeah, no, it's not rocket science, but
Yeah.
we have lost our way. Have you seen that kids movie, Wally?
Yeah.
Right? And all those
Yeah.
obese people,
Yeah.
they can't even move. They're in their little cars. Dude, that is where we are headed. Like that wasn't a kids movie. That was a freaking documentary. That was a showing us what we're headed towards if we don't turn this crap around, like between what we did to the earth, right? And then
Hmm.
what we were doing to ourselves. Like, sorry.
Yeah. No, no, but it's reality, and it's uh it's just some type of self hurt that we're doing to ourselves, because I've learned recently, like, there's certain things sometimes you eat that affects your mental health, and you overreact or become more emotional, or something in that stage that becomes you become a dangerous person.
Mm-hmm.
And all it has to do with some chips, or that basically gives you like a chemical imbalance within your body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is around the holidays, right? So I was at a work holiday party on Friday. And I don't eat wheat, I don't eat dairy, and I don't drink because I love my brain too much. And I like having my mental health stable and not wanting to think about killing myself 20 times a day. Like it's precious to me now. And I'm there and I got so much crap. Like they're looking at me like I've got two heads because I wouldn't eat the stuff that they brought. And then the last bit was, oh, you should put a little champagne in that orange juice. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't drink. What? Oh my God. Blah, 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 blah. Not
You become
congratulations.
judgmental.
Yeah, not congratulations for doing something about your life and standing in your truth when everybody else is getting nothing like that. Like I'm so proud of you for overcoming all these issues. Just this, ooh, you don't eat that and you don't drink. Oh, God, what's wrong with you? I left that party. I was so pissed. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Like, but again, I also know her health history, and I wanted to say you shouldn't be eating this stuff either.
Yeah.
And I know what's going to happen to her in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and it's sad. It's sad to watch. It's sad to watch when I know that there's stuff that I could do to help them, but they don't want to help themselves.
No, and that's the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest part. Me personally, I learned that a very long time ago. It's almost carrying dead weight. You want everybody to be winner. You want everybody to win with you
Right.
and do it together. But sometimes they have to learn on their own, and you can only hope and pray that they'll get the message, because if not, that shit will drive you crazy too.
Yeah. I actually, when I graduated from FDN in 2013, On top of the divorce that happened only 6 months later, but part of it was I wasn't in the mental space where I could handle that yet. Like I wanted it more for my clients than they wanted it for themselves. And it literally kind of burnt me out because it was just, I just wanted it more than them. And I kept trying to drag them along. Right. And you can't.
Yeah.
And I finally had to learn how to cut bait this time around and not take that stuff so personally and not get in so involved, like keep a healthy boundary with my clients because I want to be there for them. I have a huge heart, but I can't want it more than they do. And setting up those healthy boundaries. But yeah, I totally dead weight. That's yeah.
Yeah. And this is what people like, some people don't understand that you go so far to help somebody, and then when you realize it's like I'm killing myself, and you take a step back, you know they quickly become, oh, you don't care about me, you don't worry about me.
Right.
It's like now it's become this mental game.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, because
this.
that's their stuck in victim,
Yeah, yeah.
right? They're
And
wanting a rescuer.
sometimes you gotta, roll the dice and say fuck it.
Absolutely. Okay.
It's and just like beat me personally being like that, because that's who I am on a regular basis. It's very difficult to be understanding, because you know what you got to do, and
Absolutely.
you're looking for a wiggle room, and we're telling you, trying to convince yourself with an excuse not to do something.
Right. Right. Even at my sickest. So this is funny. So I've put myself through this program a few times, so I know it works. And the last time was about 2.5 years ago, and I had gone off my lifestyle and went back to kind of party girl, went back to eating the way that I was. I had gained a bunch of weight again. I was inflamed. I was in pain, and I went back to being kind of that snarky, miserable bitch.
Mm.
And my new husband, God bless his soul, stood up to me. And he put up with me for way too longer than he should have. But finally, one day, he was like, enough. I don't know what the hell's going on with you. I love you. I want to figure this out with you, but I can't stay married to an angry person. And that was enough of a wake up call for me to step back and go, oh shit, I'm out of control. Right. I've also seen it to where people, especially with parents with sick kids, they kind of let them get away with murder,
Mm.
almost to the point of creating a monster, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes even sick people, depending on the level of sickness, obviously, right?
No, they become dicks. They become dicks. They
They
become
manipulate,
untolerable.
exactly. And so you've created that monster. You got no one else to blame but yourself. And that's what what would have kept happening with me if I would have kept going down that path. He enabled, right, this bad behavior. Finally had enough one day and he said enough. And I did what it took to get better, right? Because I knew the consequences. It was like, okay, I've pushed him too far. God bless him. I should never have gotten that point to begin with. I should have pulled my head out of my butt sooner, but it didn't happen. Um, and I started looking for answers, right? I didn't just lay down and go, oh, I'm sick. I got a chronic illness and this is just me and you just have to deal with it. No, I was like, this is not how I'm going to live my life. And I pulled my head out of my ass. I looked for new answers, started figuring out things. 65 pounds gone. I'm no longer in
Wow.
pain. I'm no longer suicidal. And my reaction, like the only time I get really nasty is on the highway when I'm flipping people off down the street. And I'm going down the highway, but I'm no longer just like this reactive, miserable bitch. And it's a blessing. It
Yeah,
was
you
hard work,
you you
but I did
didn't
it.
settle. You didn't
No, I
settle.
did not.
You didn't settle, and that's, I think that's what happens to a lot of us, is we settle. We settle, and we settle, and we don't want to take accountability.
Absolutely.
And that's scary, because the average person used to live way longer.
Dude, do you realize this is the first generation in history that the life expectancy has gone down? So these kids that are born within the last 15 years, it's the first time in history, their life expectancy is going backwards. They are not expected to live longer than their parents or any generation before them. Like that should be enough of a wake up call right there, folks. It's like for first time in history, life expectancy has not gone up. It's gone backwards.
Shit, I can I
Shit
got
is right.
it's but it's predictable. It's predictable. it's it stresses me out just thinking about it sometimes because it's predictable. It's
Absolutely.
predictable, we lost like throughout the years and decades, we have lost so much. We lost values, we lost uh respect, uh we lost
Customer
self-respect.
services.
Yeah, we
Customer service is just gone. Like it
yeah,
makes me so sad.
we lost, we lost a sense of what words can affect us or not. Um, we're in limbo. We're in limbo. We're in limbo. There's certain things that are more important than what is health and our mental state of mind, uh, the values we bring to our family. Uh, we're living in that gray line, because everything used to be very, white and black, yes or no, left or right. Now is everything so gray that you don't know if it's good or bad.
Right.
you know and we're get that's some may say that's fine. Others, it's affecting them on a daily basis because that gray line symbolized that excuse.
Absolutely. That gray line symbolizes every fucked up child school shooting, right? Every public shooting that's
Oh
going
my
on right now.
god.
So we have to stop turning a blind eye. We have to stop putting our head in the sand and saying, this is just the way things are, because that type of shit is inexcusable. Like
Mm-hmm.
that hurts my heart on a whole nother level because now, right here I am taking care of my side of the street, right? I'm taking responsibility for
Mm-hmm.
my actions. I'm cleaning up my life. I'm doing things. And I send my kid out there and worry on whether the hell they're going to come home or not because some other asshole who's
Yes.
not doing their work, not taking care of themselves, not doing well, or just, wants to take everybody out with himself. Like it's sometimes not very often do I entertain these thoughts, but once in a blue moon, it does like it makes me go, "What the hell am I? Why am I doing this?" Because, like
No,
I said,
listen, I used to be very judgmental. I grew up with a friend, that he he wasn't paying child support.
mm,
So they put him in jail. They beat the shit out of him. He stood there for a couple of months. He came out, and the first thing he did, because he knew financially the island wasn't good and work was difficult.
mm,
All he knew is he wasn't going back in there. So he went to the mountains and he hanged himself out of fear because that's what this life does to you. They beat you down, and is only until I became a father and my son got diagnosed and I got married and inherited shit that I would never think I would have, right? Bills, problems, all this fucking people problem, shit that's not my fucking problem, right? They're like, fuck, you know, this is not life. I can't judge a person for calling it quits. I will hope they won't, because with me is like, you know, I gotta fight back. I'm gonna give it all. This is a 9D action movie. I'm gonna go out with a fucking boom. And
absolutely.
that's what gives me the strength and wake up every fucking morning. Like I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down swinging, and that's what I want, and that's what drives me, right? But some are unfortunate. And I can't judge because it's life. It's very unfair, and we live in a generation where everybody's sensitive and everything is divided. Fucking you got LGB, bacon, lettuce, tomato over here. You got straights here, you got blacks here, you got Hispanics here, and we forgot what unity was. We forgot that we're able to enjoy one another's culture and respect it.
Look at what our government just tried to do to us 2 years ago, right? With the whole anti-vaccine movement and shit, and like making cards and literally segregating people. Like that was, I was like, I thought we were living in some sort of sci-fi weird novel. I'm like, what
Yeah.
the hell is this bullshit? Like friends, I had to say goodbye to friends on social media because they were being nasty over the choice of, for me, not to put something, I didn't want to be an experiment with the government, right?
I agree 100% with you.
And I had to say goodbye to people that I loved because they were flat, like nasty, like not just letting me live my life, but trying to tear me down, be nasty. And like I said, I just cut out my parents for that shit. Like, I'm not going to let just some Joe Smo talk to me that way. Like, if you can't show a little respect, like, I don't have time for that shit. Like, I don't let anybody talk to me that way anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's the door. Bye.
And that's fear without taking accountability, because that's all that was.
Absolutely. And I do take accountability. I watch what I eat. I meditate. I exercise. I make sure I poop every day. Like I walk the walk, and to have somebody try to tell me how I'm supposed to live my life when, like I said, they're incentivizing people with Krispy Kreme donuts. Again, like I said, I thought my head was going to explode. I'm like, what bizarro world did we just walk into?
I remember I used to go to years ago when I was single. I used to go to Planet Fitness, and every Friday.
Oh my God, the pizza.
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
yes. You go get a workout, and it was like, here, take a slice, take two slices, take three. And I'm like, what is the sense of all this shit? The
oh,
goal is to
I had to stop working out there on Fridays because every single time I walked in there, I literally thought my head was going to explode. Like it. So here's a little education for your fans. So one of the most addictive foods out there are pizza, because wheat has got a protein molecule called gliadomorphine, and
wow.
dairy has one called casomorphine. So when you put the two together, it actually will hit the same opiate receptors in your brain, right? Because it's got morphine in that protein. And so some people, like, at one of the labs that I run, it'll show me if they're more susceptible to that. And they will literally kind of go through withdrawals for the first couple of weeks when I take them off of wheat and dairy, just like an addict would, because it is hitting that part in their brain. And so it's like one of the most inflammatory foods out there. And it's also one of the most addictive foods out there. And they were serving this as a
God, I love pizza.
reward
I hate
at
the
the
fact.
gym. I was like, and we wonder why people are sick.
Yeah, I found it so, like, how, if you're trying to go, it's like they're trying to set you up to fail,
Yeah.
right?
The saddest part is, though, is we don't know what we don't know. So God bless your autism, your son's autism, right? God bless
Mm,
my Lyme disease,
amen.
because believe it or not, if it wasn't for these diagnoses, I would still probably be living the same fucked up life, party girl lifestyle, inflamed, victim, right? Not, but you don't know what you don't know, right? I didn't know any better until I had to literally fight for my life, and I got tapped, and I had to scratch just a little bit below the surface to find the truth. And that's the funny part. The truth is just a little bit below the surface. You just have to scratch a little bit. But we're so used to getting our truth from media,
Oh
from
my God.
doctors, from people who don't have our best interests at heart, right? And so then I start talking, and now I sound like some conspiracy theory
No,
nut.
I had this conversation with my, shout out to Nick. I had this conversation yesterday with him, and like, they always put you in a predicament where you gotta do your self education. But
Yep.
what am I educating myself in when everything's manipulated?
Yep.
There's an agenda. They
Yep.
a true journalist finds the facts and information and puts it there and says, you make the judge of what you want it to be. And media nowadays is just forcing you an ideology or whatever the fuck that they want you to think, right? So, like, how can I believe anything?
Right.
It used to be, you put whatever.com and you get a professional website and get some type of information. Now everybody has a fucking blog that's based on opinions
Right.
that rather than factual information.
Yep.
And oh, this person said, this is true, this is real. And they forget to say, in my experience, this is what I went through.
Right.
They go straight and say, you gotta do this. This is like, each person is different.
Right.
So what works for you is not gonna work for this person.
Absolutely.
But they're putting it out there like they're fucking they're doctors.
Well, yeah, I watched this. I watched this freaking Instagram bitch. Oh my God. He has this huge following, like millions of people following her. She's like in the fitness industry, and that people in the fitness industry giving nutritional advice also makes my head explode
Hmm.
because it's absolute bullshit. It's all about how you look on the outside, and I damn near guarantee that if I were to run labs on them, they're falling apart on the inside. But
You're
that's a whole
probably
other
right.
story.
Yes.
But she talked about how her favorite junk foods and how junk food shouldn't be demonized the way that it is. And she went off and like listed like her 5 quick, fast junk food, blah, blah, blah. And again, I I don't normally say nasty things because I don't, two wrongs don't make a right, right? I try to
Correct.
live the
Yeah.
truth. That one put me over the edge because I'm watching person after person after person go, oh my God, thanks for giving me permission. And oh my God, this is great. So like making them feel more better about the crappy decisions they were making about their food choices. And I had to say something. I was like, this is absolute
Yeah.
bullshit. There is no, this is going to keep you sick. Like the reason it's called junk
Yeah.
food is
Yeah.
it's junk, folks. Like
Correct.
wake up.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong eating a burger or pizza here and there. What's wrong is you take that and you eat it every day.
Absolutely. On top of your chips, on top of your
Yeah.
Mountain Dew, with your Jack and Coke at night and your sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah. It's not something that should be it shouldn't be normalized.
Nope.
And
Nope.
that's like, you go back to like the 1970s, 50s, whatever, a poor person was skinny. That's the definition of a poor person. Now a poor person it's so fucking obese that sometimes I believe they just keep them alive so they can have voting rights.
Mm,
They want them to go vote,
right.
but
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah.
It's scary,
It's sick. It is. It is. It is. It is.
and I don't fucking know where we're headed, man. It's
I try to have yeah, I can't go there. Otherwise it takes me back down to that dark place. I
no,
have
I feel, but you should be proud because you've overcome so fucking much, and you did it all fucking alone.
yeah, for the most
Because
part. And I'm not some like stupid PhD genius either. I'm not. My point is I was just some average jackass, mom whose kid was sick. I was sick, and I was sick of pushing people away and getting in trouble for trying to kill myself. And I had to look for a different answer. Like I'm not that much different than anybody else. I'm not any smarter. I haven't had any more crazy advanced education. Like I didn't have any privilege growing up. Like I was just like everybody else, living in a freaking trailer park, right? Trying to make ends meet. So that I think that's part of the reason why I do, like I said, tell my stories, because if a person like me can do it, then there's no excuses
and
for
you
a
know
lot
what's
of
crazy? How many other people are going through the same thing? But
absolutely
because we're ostracized. That's what we people do, ostracize one another. Not understanding that the reality is not everybody has the same opportunities.
right.
This is not a chess place and where we all start with the same figurines. No, not
Right.
everybody's fortunate to be like that.
Nope.
And we're judgmental and we all fucking make mistakes, but it's not how that's not what defines who we are. It's how we get the fuck up and continue to do. And that's
Absolutely.
important.
Can I get an amen? Yeah.
Amen. Amen. I'm very proud that you choose to live and do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Because
I'm a beacon for others. It's really, I stand on top of that mountain, sometimes with a target on my back, but if I can even just get one person to hear me, right?
yeah,
And if I can just plant a seed, right? And then hopefully they hear the message from somebody else, and then they
yeah,
hear it from somebody else, right? And then it starts to snowball and go, okay, maybe there's something to this.
yeah. But that's who we need to become.
Yep.
That's who we need to become.
Be the
Y-
change.
Yeah, because ain't nobody's gonna do it.
Absolutely.
Take that, that target on your back and carry that shit with pride. Because at least, because that's what frustrates me. There's a lot of people that just fucking talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all they do. They talk, and they start conversations, and where just to to point at you, to get you going, just to talk, to hear you, to
Right.
test you, you
Right.
know, and but that's it. That's it. And nobody's willing to actually do the fucking work. And in order for you to get better, you got to do the work.
That's the tricky part I have with this, is because I have this drive to help others and speak the truth, but I'm also I'm very thin-skinned. And so when I say these controversial things and it pisses people off and then they like attack me, I have a tendency to be like, oh, okay, I give up, I give up. But really, that's what I've been learning these days, is to have a thicker skin and learn that it's more on them than it has to do with me, right? And that's their own beliefs and bullshit being triggered, and that I just still just need to stand in my truth. And
Yeah, no, never underestimate your hurt. Never. That just what sets us to be fucking human. Honestly, me growing up, was very. I grew up with like every Thursday, once a month, the feds, the DEA would go in to where I lived, with M16s and just take everything or everybody. All right. I grew up where it was just me and people trying to bully me, and somewhere or another, as short as I am, I demanded respect. You
nice.
know, I
How tall are you?
5'7",
Oh, okay. That's not that short.
but another pay I'm
But I'm
short.
5'8" though. I'm 5'8", so if I got a pair of heels on, you're gonna come to here to me.
Yeah,
When I
see,
go salsa dancing, the
there
Puerto
you go.
Ricos, Puerto Ricans, they like dancing with me because I'm taller and they come right up to my boob level. It pisses me off. It's like, I know why you want to dance with me.
Yeah, but you got to do something. You can't give up. People like to bully me until I became the fucking bully.
Hmm.
Be a fucking savage, and then learn how to be subtle.
Yep.
And sometimes all you gotta do is sit and watch people. That's one thing that people hate about me. I sit and watch everything, and it is not because I do it intentionally, but it's like people unmax themselves. Just give it time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You
Yep.
know, read the 49 laws of power.
Mm,
That shit will change your mind, change your mindset, and you become unstoppable, because
nice.
that is what the world is. And like that, you'll protect yourself, you protect your loved ones, and you just do what you gotta fucking do.
Amen.
This is your life, is your movie, and you end it how you want to fucking end it. But be happy,
Absolutely.
be proud of it.
Are you going to be the creator or are you going to be the victim?
Exactly. And through this walk of life, we all at one point or another were victims. But it's that question: do you want to fucking continue to be,
Is that where you want to live?
exactly? Do you want to be the princess and have fucking Mario or Luigi come and save you? Right?
Help me.
Yeah. So you gotta grow some balls, and you gotta do shit, and you gotta stand up for yourself, because nobody gonna stand up for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And people get scared of strong people, but I'd rather them be scared of me than me scared of them.
Yeah, right.
All right, and boom. Talk to me a little bit about your what you do to help these people. Give me a walkthrough. So like, if one of my listeners or viewers reaches out, what can they expect?
A free consult to start, because I want to make sure that they're in the headspace to be a
Mm,
good fit, because I actually don't work with just anybody. Like, even on my intake form, I ask the question, do you believe you can get better? Because if the answer is
mm,
no, do not waste my time, do not waste your money. You're This is not going to be a good fit. And so it's almost as much of an interview for them with me as me to them, because unlike a practitioner where you might see them once every 3 months for 10 minutes, like we're in it for the next couple months. Like, I hold your hand, we keep accountability.
you're
Like,
committed.
I'm in.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's why people get better. But it needs to be a good fit for both. And so there's a initial consultation just to kind of see what you've done, what you haven't done, where your mindset's at, and just to see if this would be a good fit. And then if the answer is yes, then we kind of figure out, because it's a very individualized plan. There's no one size fits all. Some people do just like a DIY type of thing, where it's just my educational platform teaching on the foundations of health, right?
got it.
Diet,
Yeah.
rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation. and all the way up to a 6-month package with labs and supplements and coaching and like the whole shebang, like people who've been chronically sick for a long time and they're sick of not getting any answers and they're sick of not getting any better, right? So it just kind of depends on where a person's at, finances, commitment level, like whole 9 yards, but I try to meet them where they're at. But that's how I typically work with folks.
Got it. Is it like via Zoom? Do you meet with them
Yeah.
in person? That
Yeah,
go,
no, I
you have
work,
discussions.
everything's remote. Yeah, everything's remote. Even if we do labs, I have the labs shipped to you, or if it's blood, there's places that you go get your blood done, and then the lab results come to me, and then we go over them via Zoom. And like I said, everything's done in my client portal or Zoom. But yeah,
They're perfect,
all
and I think that's something that's very important, support. A lot of people, tend to not know what they're getting into, and they find themselves with the lack of support.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I'm here for. Like I said, though, I won't do it for you. Like
No,
I'll
yeah,
keep
yeah,
pointing you in the right direction and I'll be there if you ask, but I'm not gonna chase you. Like
What,
there's a
what,
client right now that I'm getting to the point of saying like, hey dude, like you either kind of need to get on board or just leave because I'm not gonna chase you. Like I'm better, right? I
yeah.
I don't need to do your program for you.
No, at the end of the day, you're running a business, and your attention, unfortunately, it's your attention goes to where who needs it the most, and also who's actually going to invest in this,
Absolutely.
because that happens also. A lot of clients like to, give you a run for your money, and I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
unfortunately they picked the wrong person for that because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I just, I
yeah,
just
and it's unfair, and it's
yeah,
unfair because you're trying to. That's one of the things about starting your own business. Sometimes, it's only until you evolve into who you need to become, and
absolutely.
set the where you want to go from there.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes it can't be all negotiation. Sometimes you got, this is what I value my product, and I'm willing to work with you, but I'm not coming down from that.
No, absolutely. Yeah, this is like beautiful what I'm going to say. I've got a new meme. All right. I'm here to empower you, not enable you.
Boom.
Right. Boom.
Yeah, yeah, that's strong. What?
Right. I was like, oh, this is good. I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Where are you
like, this will be a
located?
good meme.
Where
My
are you
other
look?
favorite meme that I came up with just a few months ago was I talk about a lot about the self-care that I do to keep myself healthy, right?
Yeah.
And so many people complain, I got to do this and I got to do that. When do I have time to live? Blah, blah, blah. And that's like, yeah, my self-care feels like a part-time job, but it's better than being full-time sick.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
hello,
Yeah.
where we put our attention is what grows, right? So
Yeah.
if you're not willing to take the time to put that attention on yourself, then be happy with being sick, get comfortable with being sick because that's what happens when you don't focus on yourself.
100%. Where are you located?
I'm in Colorado.
Nice. Ooh, I always want to go to Colorado. I like it over
I want out. It's
there.
too cold. I've
No,
been
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like the cold anymore.
No, I can imagine. I'm not too living a life always in the Caribbean.
Right.
Yeah, and then coming to this fucking hellhole in which some days it's cold, some days it's hot, some days it's raining. I need more of a
Like, what is
balance.
this bipolar weather?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Heather, it's been an honor talking to you. I had a blast.
Yay.
Um, Before we go, tell the people where they can find you at.
It's so easy. TheLymeBoss.com. Lots of great information, a lot of free stuff. If you have Lyme disease or if you have somebody that does in your family, I also have an online support group called the LymeBoss.com or the Lyme Boss. Oh shit, I forgot the rest of the name. But if you look up the Lyme Boss on Facebook, you'll find the online group. And I also, on the website, I have a freebie for cooking videos. It's called Real Cooking for Real Life. And I'm basically showing you in a fun, entertaining way on how to make yummy, healthy meals under 20 minutes or less every day, because really that's, you can't build health on a crappy foundation. And if you're still eating fast food, microwavable crap, if it's got a long shelf life, it's going to shorten yours. So it teaches you how to cook. So there's some great videos free by signing up on the website.
Boom. Go support, go show some love. Go watch her amazing video, her being vulnerable and telling her story. Uh yeah, go support, go follow. Thank you for joining me one more time. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.